You know I love that organic cooking, I always ask for more. And they call me Mr. Natural, on down to the health food store. I only eat good sea salt, white sugar don't touch my lips. And my friends is always begging me to take them on macrobiotic trips. Yes, they are. Oh, but night I take out my strong box that I keep under lock and key. And I take it off to my closet where nobody else can see. I open that door so slowly, take a peek up north and south. Then I pull out a Hostess Twinkie and I pop it in my mouth. Yeah, in the daytime I'm Mr. Natural, just as healthy as I can be. But at night I'm a junk food junkie. Good Lord, have pity on me. Oh, folks, but lately I have been spotted with a Big Mac on my breath, stumbling into a Colonel Sanders with a face as white as death. I'm afraid someday they'll find me just stretched out on my bed with a handful of Pringles potato chips and a ding-dong by my head. In the daytime I'm Mr. Natural, just as healthy as I can be. But at night I'm a junk food junkie. Good Lord, have pity on me.
Anti-Afro Spengalis. Yes, everyone, I'm actually recording this video today, July 5th, and I am wishing you a happy 4th of July. I did try yesterday to get myself in video record mode. I was having too much fun, eating too much food. I just couldn't do it. But I was thinking about all of you. Let me tell you, don't let anybody talk you out of doing what you want to do. If you want to celebrate, celebrate. And celebrate, I always do 4th of July. I had to play that tune because what I'm going to be talking to you about today, Umar Johnson perping. Perping like a big dog. Like he perps about this, what does he call it? The Drop Squad. Isn't that supposed to be like a vegan restaurant? Right? And he's always talking about fasting and all that. Whatever. He's perps about that. And he's perping about what's going on with the sister, Sha'Carri Richardson, and the whole controversy about her testing positive for marijuana as she prepares or qualifies for the U.S. Olympic team. And before I do that, there's other things that go along with this. I have been receiving some inquiries about a couple of things that I'm going to mention. People were asking me questions about live streams, and I received several messages that people were upset that I didn't post. I can't answer a question about somebody else's live stream or why somebody isn't addressing an issue. But there's an exception with Umar Johnson, because we know Umar Johnson wants to get ahead of every single issue. But I probably should do another video instead of answering in this video. I think I'll do that because I don't want to take up this video talking about it because it's not so simple. But I will address your questions. I will post another video after I'm done with this video. But I do understand your concerns and I will address those in another video. But let me explain why I felt the need to address Umar and his phoniness about the situation with the sister from Texas. But before I do that, I want to at least let you hear this brief clip in case you are not aware of what Umar Johnson has stated. That way we can all be on the same page. Stay tuned and I will return.
Put out of the 100 so far, 100 meters, is being, well, she's from Dallas. She's a local. She's a local hero here in Dallas for a lot of kids, a lot of people just crazy about her. What do you think about this situation?
I think it's unfortunate, and I would venture to say that had she not been an American African, I think the Olympic Committee would have possibly looked the other way, given the circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
because her use of marijuana was done to help console her upon learning that her mother had passed. To me, that is a very understandable use of marijuana, and she should not have been punished for that. I understand rules are rules, but again, had she not been one of us, given the circumstances, I think this would have never come out.
Yeah. What about the swimmer? What's his name? The one who won all the gold medals. You know, he got caught.
Michael Phelps.
Yeah, he got caught with tons of that stuff, didn't he? And
was he ever punished?
No.
There you go. Case in point. Double standard.
Yeah.
Jim Crow law has never been disqualified.
But when will we stop facing these things like this?
Well, from a behavioral psychology perspective, from a very basic behavioral psychology perspective, all behavior is a consequence of context and consequence. All behavior. Yours, mine, animals, plants, it doesn't matter. Anything that breathes, its behavior is a result of context and consequence. And by context, we're speaking of the culture that exists, which basically says what is allowed and not allowed, what is tolerated and what is not tolerated.
Oh my God. What continues to be tolerated is Umar Johnson perpetrating as if he knows anything about psychology and that he's a mental health expert. So right then and there, what he says is just pure rubbish. The ignorance of this person is beyond description. Now, you heard him refer to the Olympic Committee, and we are absolutely beyond convinced that Umar, out of anybody on YouTube, perhaps is the most dead last when it comes to knowledge of sports. Dead last when it comes to the knowledge of the Olympics. There is a U.S. Olympic Committee and there is an International Olympic Committee. And guess what? There are rules. If the U.S. Olympic Committee does not punish an athlete according to the International Olympic Committee, guess what happens? They rain down hard on the delegation, which means they can easily decide to test every single athlete in your delegation. And what do you think is going to happen then? So it is not that you just have this arbitrary decision about whether or not you're going to suspend an athlete who tests positive for a banned substance. You idiot! Umar needs to shut the hell up. Oh, we're just going to decide we're not going to do anything. No, you do not have that luxury without incurring severe consequences, including banning your entire team from the Olympics. You are not allowed to tell the International Olympic Committee, we're not going to do anything about this. And as far as a medical exemption, you don't get to violate the rules and ask for an exemption later. I will get into that in a second. I don't want to get carried away, so I have to control myself talking about sports. If there's one thing I do not like is people, namely Umar Johnson, he does this, who runs around crying and screaming about inequitable treatment and false accusations and how people are attacking us, black folks. But then he turns around and just levels a wild, false, outrageous accusation against somebody else. Just like that, him and this person. How are you comparing these two people? If you want to make a comparison that has fact. Now, Umar Johnson, I can be a better fake pro-black than Umar Johnson. because Umar Johnson didn't need to use Michael Phelps as a comparison, because Umar Johnson has plenty of other examples he could have used. Fact of the matter is, he has no case to make as a comparison for inequitable treatment. And I'll tell you why. Number one, Michael Phelps has been an Olympian. He first started as a swimmer in 2004, and he last competed in 2016. And through that entire time, he never tested positive for any banned substance. So how can you say a person tested positive for a banned substance when he didn't? Put that in the reverse. How would Umar Johnson feel, and what would he be saying if somebody just up and accused somebody, a black person, of testing positive for a banned substance? It never happened. So how can you just be throwing somebody's name out there and saying they tested positive for a banned substance? What happened with Michael Phelps? He had issues with alcohol. He had alcohol issues. And it just so happened, I mean, I'm not talking for the dude. It was important enough for him to stay on the Olympic team that he didn't get in any trouble with alcohol during the Olympics. Because you can drink alcohol, but it has to be within a certain level. So apparently he didn't go above that level. He, however, did get suspended from the world team when he had a DUI. That's what happened. And let me tell you about testing for the Olympics. Since the early 90s, they started testing athletes in competition and out of competition, which means they can show up any time of the day or night and demand a sample. And if you don't comply, you are going to be suspended. And the list of banned substances is extremely long. You are supposed to know what you can and cannot take, including if you go to the emergency room. The only exemption that you are going to get is if you were completely unconscious and they gave you something in the ER and you were totally out. Well, as soon as you realize what you took, you better get a hold of your training team and get a hold of the authorities who oversee the drug testing. That's how that works. See, Umar, he's going to shoot himself in the foot, because here's the situation. Hold on to this. Some of you might know that the sister, Simone Biles, she takes Ritalin. However, she has a medical exemption. You heard Umar talking about the sister Sha'Carri should have been excused. You can get a medical exemption, but you have to apply for it. You just can't take the drug, then after the fact, ask for an exemption. The exemption needs to be obtained. Apparently, Simone Biles has been taking Ritalin since she was a youngster. Now, Umar Johnson also had other ammunition, but he doesn't want to bring that up because it would debunk his case. The entire Russian country was banned from the 2016 Olympics in Brazil because their doping was out of control. They were cheating and it was just outrageous. So their athletes were able to apply individually and compete without being under the Russian flag. Now, the history of doping in the Olympics goes back, and most of the cases are from the Eastern Bloc European countries. So Umar Johnson doesn't even have a case. He's just trying to keep himself relevant. Let me also say something else. There are cases with our brothers and sisters who have been busted using banned substances, but the numbers compared to the Europeans is relatively small. But there are cases. he doesn't want to mention that because it's going to mess up his bullshit. But you shouldn't be accusing people of things that they haven't done. And here's another thing. Michael Phelps is a 4-time Olympian. So let's say he got into a situation where he used marijuana or he came up positive or whatever. There have been situations where people have tested positive and they've been Olympians for 4 and 5 times, and the Olympic Committee has given them a reprieve. I don't think that's unreasonable, but for someone who has not even been in the Olympics, I don't think that's reasonable. Do you think that's reasonable? I don't think that's reasonable. But we haven't even dealt with that situation with Phelps because he didn't test positive. You shouldn't be accusing people of things they didn't do. Serena Williams was put in that position. Some person asked her a question about her testing, and it made it seem like she had tested positive. She said, oh, no. No. You made me find that clip. Let me play it for you.
Why I didn't get, excuse me, can you talk louder so everyone can hear you asking me about my drugs?
Why you didn't get a TOE for it at the time?
Okay. I've never tested positive. I've always gotten a TV, so you should fact check that. In fact, no. I actually wasn't able to play the French Open, and I wasn't going to play unless I had a TUE, because if you remember that year, I was incredibly sick. I don't know how I even won the match, and I said I can't. I literally can't play the final, but I need a TUE to take a decongestant. So at the end of the day, that's what it is. But I've always been very happy to answer any question about that, and I've played over 20 years, and I've always been extremely honest. And that's one thing I take pride on, especially having a daughter and having a kid. I'm never going to be able to look my kid in the eye and say, Mom cheated or Mom did something like that. That is totally irresponsible. And even before that, I've always had that attitude. I've always been the kind of player that if you're going to beat me, you're going to beat me. And I'm going to congratulate you. But I'm never, ever going to take an advantage and try to have an advantage over someone else, because that's not who I am.
Do you see how Serena stopped the person? She made it very clear she wasn't going to compete unless she got the therapeutic exemption to take a decongestant. So that gives you an idea of the range of banned substances. It's not just stuff like marijuana. Even basic cold medicines can be illegal unless you get an exemption to take them. So she shut the person down. Don't you dare be asking these questions as though I am cheating. Sometimes you have to go for it and set people straight. I've been in those situations right here on YouTube. Sometimes I'll ignore things. Other times, no, I am going to say something. Because people just get off the freaking chain and think they can say whatever the hell they want. And sometimes you have to set them straight. Or else they'll try to put you in the same category as they are in. And that is not acceptable. You can't come out saying shit like this, because this can destroy people's careers, putting it out there as if they are taking drugs. Now, Michael Phelps did experience some sponsorship loss, but I am positive this dude is a millionaire many times over. He has earned the most Olympic medals ever. FloJo, they accused her of taking, that's ridiculous. They were on her so bad. They sent her test over to Germany, for God's sake. She never tested positive. I don't believe she ever took any banned substances, because they would have found it. They were finding drugs in their own athletes that had very sophisticated masking properties, and they didn't find anything with FloJo. She never took banned substances. That's bullcrap. So they shouldn't be accusing people. So what is Umar Johnson going to say about Simone Biles, who was attacked by the Russians? She was attacked by the Russians because Ritalin is classified in the same category as cocaine in that country. So she came after this gymnast here in 2016, came after Simone Biles and accused her of doping. although she had an exemption. And this is the same gymnast that went after another U.S. citizen because she beat her in the 2004 Olympics. Here we go again. You have these foreigners thinking they can attack U.S. citizens all over the place, and we're supposed to shut the hell up. See, Simone Biles has been attacked relentlessly, so get ready, people. Back to the matter, the Russian gymnast, to her credit, is a superior gymnast on the same level. Well, I shouldn't say on the same level because she's older than Simone Biles, but I think Simone Biles recently surpassed her in number of medals, or they're very close still. She is a superb gymnast, this Russian gymnast. She just wasn't the best gymnast on that day. The U.S. gymnast beat her out, and she is by no means better, but she was on that day. So she said, she just won because she's American. Always trying to find a way to put us down. And just so we're clear, we're talking about the 2004 Olympics, because obviously Svetlana and Simone never competed against each other. Carly Patterson beat out Svetlana. Svetlana Korkina is by far superior, but she wasn't on that day. That's just the way it is. And let me add a twist. This Russian gymnast, Svetlana Korkina, she wants to attack everything about the U.S., but she can have a baby in the United States. She can attack Simone Biles. She can attack what we do here with people with mental health issues, but you can have a baby in the United States. Okay. What did they say? Make it make sense. So what country are you going to defend? Nigeria? Zimbabwe? Ghana? We are from the United States. What country are you defending? I'm going to defend the United States. So people want to talk shit about us. I'm going to defend the United States. That's the country I'm a citizen of. I was born a U.S. citizen. Do we have a perfect country? No. But Umar Johnson is a hypocrite. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't know anything about the Olympics. He doesn't know anything about sports. He doesn't even tell you that the Chinese were known for doping. The Australians were known for doping. The Eastern Bloc countries of Europe were known for doping. What does he do? He comes after a U.S. citizen who never tested positive. He is disgusting, people. To push his narrative. Quit picking on people who don't have a history of testing positive for banned substances. He has an alcohol issue. And Umar Johnson has a lying and a thievery issue. So where are these comparisons coming up? And let's see what Umar Johnson has to say about Simone Biles if this issue of Ritalin comes up. Because Umar Johnson, maybe he should move to Russia because he shares the same opinion as Russia does when it comes to medications for ADHD. You see how ignorant people are? They run their mouths when they don't know what they're talking about, and they end up looking like fools. So Umar Johnson is on the same page as this Russian gymnast, trashing Simone Biles, a sister. What do you think of that, people?